The French Kouglof boasts various balanced names across different cultures, typically labeled as cake, essentially a brioche dough. Today, I'll be sharing a chocolate Kouglof recipe that I've refined over the years. Note this recipe is tailored for a 10 to 12 cup sized mold. I personally use a savoring mold by liqueur. However, it's worth mentioning that a classic Kouglof is traditional baked in ceramic molds, which are narrow and taller. Unfortunately, these are not available in the market. Alternatively, you can use 1 cup size molds, and this recipe yields about 11 of them. Let's start with the dough. In a mixing bowl, combine 375 grams of mixture and bread and all-purpose flour, 24 grams of Dutch processed cocoa powder, and 7 grams of superfine coffee powder. Add 5.7 grams of Saf's active dry yeast, and mix everything well. In a measuring cup, whisk together 4 large egg yolks with full fat milk, starting with 3/4 cup. Blend it thoroughly using fork, and then incorporate 18 ml of Kahlua. Over the standing mixer, add 90 grams sugar, followed by the egg mixture. Attach a dough hook to the mixer and start blending on low. Since my 7-quart mixer is a bit oversized for this dough, I use a spatula to assist in the mixing process. Once the dough starts coming together, switch to medium speed. After about a minute, assess the dough's consistency. If it feels too dry, gradually add more milk, 1 tablespoon at a time. If the dough seems just right and slightly sticky to the touch, like this, you can stop adding milk. Your dough now is ready to go. Turn the speed to medium and keep kneading the dough for 5 to 7 minutes. The dough should be elastic and have developed about 50% of gluten. Now it's time to add the salt. Continue kneading for about 5 minutes. Check the dough periodically. If it has reached 65 to 70% gluten development, you can add 117 grams of butter. Otherwise, return it to the mixer for an additional minute or 2. Speaking of butter, make sure it's appropriately softened, ideally at a temperature between 20 to 22 degrees Celsius. Turn the mixer to low speed and gradually add butter to the bowl, 2 to 3 cubes at a time. Allow each addition of butter to mix into the dough a little. This process may take some time and it can be a bit frustrating, especially if your bowl isn't designed for a small batch. However, with patience, the dough will come together again. Once it does, continue kneading at a medium speed until it becomes super smooth. The dough should have developed 85 to 90% gluten by this point. Now, zest 1 large orange or 2 small ones and add them to the dough, along with 152 grams of the mini baking chocolate chips. Set the speed to low and mix till just incorporated. Then take the bowl to the counter, using the bench scraper to transfer the dough onto the work surface. Shape the dough into a ball and place it in a lightly greased large bowl. The optimal temperature for the final dough is 24 to 26 degrees Celsius. Cover it with a lid and let it ferment in a proofing machine set to 28 degrees Celsius and 75% humidity for 2 hours. Or you can place it in a warm spot to ferment until it has at least doubled in size. You can also judge by inserting finger into the center of the dough. If it slowly springs back a bit, it's ready. Lightly flour the work surface. Invert the dough. Flour your hands and lightly dust the dough. Gently pat the dough to degas the dough. This is not a dough you should violently punch down. Lift a corner and fold it even more towards center, repeating until all corners are folded. Invert the dough, rounding it while slightly tightening it. Place it back in the proofing bowl. Cover and let it relax in the proofing machine with the same settings for 10 minutes. Whilst relaxing, generously grease the mold with softened butter or lard. When the time's up, you can finally shape the dough. Lightly flour the work surface. Invert the bowl and let the dough fall onto the surface. Pinch the center of the cracks. Lightly flour the dough, especially the center. Dip a rolling pin flour and poke a hole right in the center of the dough. Then use your hands to gently enlarge the hole to fit the size of the mold and shape the dough evenly. Then fit the dough into the mold, making sure to always keep the ugly side up. Then ferment preferably at 32 degrees Celsius with an 82% humidity for an hour, or until the dough is about to reach the top of the mold. Use a spray bottle to lightly mist the surface of the dough. Then bake it in the oven preheated to 170 degrees Celsius for 40 to 45 minutes. Whilst baking, let's make a simple syrup. In a small saucepan, simmer 100 ml water and pith orange zest for 5 minutes. Remove the zest, then add 75 grams of granulated sugar to the hot water. Stir till the sugar dissolves. And it's done. Keep it warm before using. After baking, take the Kouglof out of the oven. Immediately drop the baking sheet from about 10 centimeters or 4 inches high a few times. Then place a rack on top. Invert the Kouglof onto a 10-inch pie pan lined with parchment paper. Unmold it and immediately brush with hot syrup, repeating 2 or 3 times thoroughly. Allow it to cool to room temperature. Next, place on a cake board and dust it with various extra brewed cocoa powder. Now the Kouglof is ready to be enjoyed. The breadcrumb is meant to be relatively small but uniform. The chocolate chips are half-melted, and they won't harden even the next day. This texture has an almost ganache-like quality when you take a bite. With a subtle hint of orange flavor in the background, this chocolate Kouglof makes for a perfect breakfast or a delightful snacking dessert alongside a cup of coffee. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. Bye for now and see you soon.